Welcome to Retire Well with Kevin Bucher. He is one of the co-founders of Citizen Advisory Group. I'm your host, Mike Spangle. Kevin, it is great to see you, and I got to ask you, when it comes to retirement planning, what's on your mind this week?
Well, it's actually retirement itself. So, we spend a lot of time talking with folks about the retirement journey, which really is a lifelong journey from the moment we get our first job and we're paying FICA taxes and starting to build our retirement, and then working our way all the way through this journey to the end of life. But today we're going to actually focus on just the retirement part itself, because it's really a process when we exit the workforce and enter into retirement.
Well, I'm glad that you're saying that, because it sounds like it's a little bit more than just the savings that goes into our 401ks or 403bs or 457. So on today's program, that's what we're going to be talking about, is how you can help define your own lifestyle choices for retirement. And if you've never done that before, you don't know what it looks like, I'd like to map that out a lot with you today here, Kevin. So what do you do? What do you start with when you're asking folks about what you want their retirement to look like? Is this about age? Is this about location? Here in Ohio, we're also close to Michigan. I know you have clients up there. Where do you start?
Yeah, well, so it really starts with, what do you want your retirement to look like? And, where do you want to live? What type of lifestyle do you see yourself living in retirement? And our focus is, as a financial firm, is going to be on the financial aspects of that, but we also recognize that we have to go beyond the financial, because it takes more than just financial stability and security to have a really happy and successful retirement.
Right. And for some folks, they've never been into that retirement. I know that maybe we don't want to punch the clock at work anymore. Maybe you've been an independent person yourself your entire life and you enjoy what you do, but turning off that switch of working all the time, going in and having that sense of purpose, I think, is what we also need to somehow define in our retirement, giving ourselves a sense of purpose.
Yes, and that's kind of what I would refer to as, you have to have something that you're going to retire to. So whether that's just more time with the family or hobbies, but you can't just retire to the recliner, because unfortunately what happens, and we unfortunately see this with some folks we work with, that you just end up aging really quickly, and you don't have the quality of life in retirement that you're looking for. So we've identified that it really takes three critical components to have a happy and successful retirement. And it clearly does start with the financial stability and security, and obviously that's a really critical component. But we have to go beyond that, because we have to have health and wellness in retirement, and we also have to have social connection. We have to have relationships as part of the process.
This is huge. I think it's critical. I think it's one of the things that is overlooked. Yes, of course, the finances, we need to know that we're going to have that income stream. We've got the stability. It helps us sleep at night. But that social part of it, our friends begin to retire. Some eventually will pass away or move on to other locations. And we need to stay connected with that sense of community as well. I liked how you said, we can't just retire to the recliner. We've got to be doing some things along the way.
Yeah, so we have developed a program, and I think it's something that makes Citizen Advisory Group very unique in the financial services world, that really is called Retire Well, same as the show name. And Retire Well was founded across these three principles. So obviously I think we talk a lot about the financial pillar of that, but the health and wellness initiative, obviously when we start to have health conditions or health issues, that's going to affect our happiness in retirement. So we have a wellness initiative at our firm as part of this program, where we have ongoing activities that are going to revolve around either an educational topic, where we'll give a topic presentation on heart disease, or just a variety of wellness topics, in addition to actually promoting the opportunity for people to get out and be active through different activities we have, whether that's walks at our great zoo in Toledo, the Toledo Zoo, or other physical activities.
One of the best in the country.
To promote this wellness initiative.
Yeah, it's fantastic to keep your own community connected like that. And whether it's through education, whether it's through volunteering, whether it's through your faith, your church, your community around, you want to stay engaged as well. I used to take road trips with my dad, and I remember when I was a really young kid, we literally used to map out where we were going to go. I would take a pencil, we would figure out where we were going to stop and get gas. Today, we all have GPSs, and it's kind of easier now to figure out where we're going to go, but Isn't it hard to hit a point in retirement if you don't know where that ending target is?
Well, yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it, because you could be the greatest archer in the world, a world-class archer, but if you don't know where the target is and what you're trying to achieve, you're not going to hit that bullseye. And in retirement, it's similar. We have to know what the goals and objectives are, what you want your retirement to look like, and then we can build a plan accordingly to hit that target.
Right. And so you design these targets all of the time. They don't look the same for everybody, right? And they're often at different distances and different lengths, because we've all worked different jobs. We've saved different amounts. Our family dynamics are completely different. It's not really a cookie cutter approach, is it?
Well, it just can't be, because everyone comes to us with different lifestyle needs, different things they want to do with their retirement, different resources for their retirement. So to put together a customized plan really is important for every individual, and that's going to incorporate all the different retirement checkpoints that we talk about on this show. So we're offering a complimentary retirement checkpoint review that brings all of these financial areas together so that you can see how all of your pieces will fit together for retirement, so that you can actually achieve the retirement of your dreams. So we're offering this complimentary retirement checkpoint review for callers from today's show. So call 866-630-1675 for your no-cost, no-obligation retirement checkpoint review.
And to help our viewers out a little bit, I just want to, some of those checkpoints we're going to be talking about, of course, investments, right? And then how that risk matches what you're doing. The fees in there as well. I think there's a lot of surprises when people actually see what their retirement accounts cost. Pension decisions, Social Security, healthcare choices. Does this also include estate planning?
Absolutely. You know, and I think a lot of times our industry is a little short-sighted right now, because they've raised the estate tax limit so high that it doesn't affect a lot of households. But I would say estate planning still matters, and protecting your family throughout the next course of different generations is still very important and needs to be planned for.
Well, thank you for offering the checkpoint review for everyone. We will take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go deeper into each one of the points of this checkpoint review, including the investments, estate planning, and taxes. But folks, it's so simple for you right now to get started on your own retirement checkpoint review. There is no cost to it. All you have to do is reach out to the phone number right here, 866-630-1675. More Retire Well with Kevin Bucher when we get back right after this.
Whether it's time with your grandkids, travel, or finally doing what you've always wanted, retirement is about having the time to live life on your schedule. At Citizen Advisory Group, we build comprehensive retirement plans customized to your individual goals. Whether you're still preparing, taking your first steps, or have been on the path for years, our trusted and caring professionals are here to help you manage the risks and navigate the challenges on the road to your financial future. Citizen Advisory Group, your retirement journey begins here.
Welcome back to Retire Well with Kevin Bucher of Citizen Advisory Group. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. Every single week, Kevin tries to help you with retirement planning solutions. And today we're going through what exactly is the retirement checkpoint review for you, our viewers out there. Let's start with the investments. This has got to be on people's minds. We've been saving in those 401ks or 403bs or 457s or our outside accounts or our annuities and whatever they might be. When do we start to change those allocations as we get to our 60s? How do we change them? Should I be doing this on my own, for myself, for my spouse? We've been doing it for 30 or 40 years. Now what?
Yeah, so as we make this transition, really it starts before the actual retirement date, right? So you are most vulnerable to losses in your investment portfolio in the years leading up to retirement, the years leading right up to retirement, and then that period right at the beginning of retirement. So should you be making adjustments to your investment allocation at this time? Absolutely. We have to take some defensive steps to protect ourselves and have a more conservative investment approach. I think a lot of people already know that conceptually, that as we get older, we need to be a little more conservative, but we probably need to take a deeper approach to that and make sure that we have adequate levels of principal protection. Principal protected meaning we don't have exposure to market loss, because losing money at the beginning of your retirement is the worst possible time to lose money.
I think it's a concept you've talked about before called sequence of returns, that if we're taking a loss, and honestly, when our program is airing right now, if we look back in the rearview mirror 12, 14, 16, 18 months ago, the market's lost 20, 22, 25%. What a horrifying time for some people to step right into retirement right now with not really a lot of end in sight.
Yeah, and I've been kind of preaching about that risk for many years now, but the reality is, in that peak years of right when you're getting into the retirement, you are probably at the peak of your financial savings, the peak of your wealth. And what we have to realize about that is we have more to lose in that window than we did at any other time of our life. So, for example, when I was a 30-year-old, I hadn't accumulated a whole lot of investment savings at that point. So investment losses at that point weren't that impactful. I just didn't have that much to lose. But and
you also had timeline to make it back up.
Yeah, so time is obviously a big factor of that. But for those entering into retirement, we have to take those steps to protect ourselves from that type of a loss.
I hear this phrase a lot, and I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit here from what we prepared. You hear about principal protection a lot. Is it possible to have growth in your accounts in retirement? I know that we're turning off the income spigot of our working or our employer or whatever business we did on our own, but have you actually seen growth in retirement?
Absolutely, and it's still a critical part of the planning process. So most retirees still do need to have growth in their portfolios. We just have to be smart about where we're going to get that growth. And in some ways, it's maybe even an easier market today to get that safe growth, because the safe investment options, things like CDs, fixed annuities, money market accounts, are paying a much more attractive rate of return. So we don't have to settle for making 0 to 0.5% in this market. We can have safety built into our plan while still achieving an attractive rate of return.
So when folks come to you, let's say for the very first time, maybe they're still working, they're hoping they're on a trajectory within the next 2 or 3 years to be able to retire, are they more surprised at how much risk they're taking, or they're like, oh, I've chosen a good level for myself. I'm pretty surprised that I'm doing okay. Which do you tend to find more often?
I thank you for asking the question in that way, because I think for the most part, people are a little bit blind as to how much of their investment dollars they actually stand to lose in a down market. And I attribute a lot of that to how advisors tend to communicate about investment returns. We talk in averages and we talk in percentages. Well, we've already talked in some other segments that we did that averages aren't really as meaningful as they seem. It's when they happen. But the percentage conversation, I used to be a math teacher, Spike. I know you know that. And unfortunately, some people just don't equate percentages to dollars as well as advisors might, who do it every day. So we like to talk about the risk, how much risk you're actually taking in real dollars, to make sure that you're actually comfortable with the prospect of your account could fall down by this dollar amount, not some percentage.
I really appreciate that, because people say, what's your risk percentage? What's your risk band? What's your risk number? What does that mean to some? I like that, because you'll say, could you withstand a $10,000 loss in your retirement? Could you withstand a $50,000? Those are real dollars. When people say, no, I couldn't, then you can set a risk tolerance that works.
Yes, and then we can work right around that number to design your plan so that you're comfortable with the amount of risk you're taking in the market. So to your point earlier, growth has to still be a part of your investment plan. So I'm not suggesting that you abandon the stock market and the bond market to get some returns for the long term, but we just need to take the appropriate steps so that we have appropriate expectations for what our investments are going to do.
I could also ask, can you overcorrect in the other direction a little bit too much? We're going completely over to safety. We know what the interest rates were on savings accounts, money market accounts over the last 13, 14 years. There was hardly anything there. We are seeing some increases, but is this take your foot completely off the gas, go over to safety?
It can't be. And Spike, we get that question often where people, they don't want the risk. They don't have the appetite for the risk and they want to go safe. But there's just as much risk in that approach as the market approach. So we have to have the appropriate balance. So for instance, we might be looking at money market savings rates in the 4 to 5% range in today's current market environment. But inflation is still around 6 or 7%. So we're not keeping up with inflation in those safe investments. So we have to have growth. We can't be too safe and too conservative in our retirement.
All right. Transitioning from there, so we know that you're watching the investment strategy. We're wondering what to do. We want to set that correct percentage by dollar amount so you can understand what you may or may not lose, but also what you could gain in the markets. How about taking the money out of those accounts? Again, this is a hard thing to pull the trigger on. We've been saving in those accounts for 2 or 3 decades or more. Now I got to start taking money. I'm concerned that I'm going to run out of it. How do you know when you can tell folks, let's go ahead and turn on that spigot?
So again, it's a psychological effect as well. So what you described is very true, that in many instances, you've been building and accruing in these accounts for 25 and 30 years. So to flip that switch and now start to take distributions from those accounts and maybe start to see them go in the opposite direction is psychologically a challenge for a lot of retirees. But it has to just be set up efficiently on the front end by having a written retirement income plan. And before we even get into the investment withdrawal approach, we have to look at things like Social Security and your pensions to make sure that you're getting the best possible contractually guaranteed income streams that you can.
Okay. Now, is there an importance in the order in which accounts we take from? So we've got those tax deferred accounts. If you were savvy and started using the non-tax deferred accounts, our Roths, our 401ks, the savings accounts, do we turn on Social Security early so we can not have to take from the investment accounts? Do we take from the investment accounts and take the Social Security late? Where do you start with the order, Kevin?
It depends, Spike. So every case is different. And when you're looking at a financial plan, it has to tie together all of the components that you just described. So there's tax complications, there's Social Security decisions, there's pension decisions, there's which accounts to take it from. And we can't make those decisions independently of each other. So we, again, are big proponents of having a written retirement income plan that brings all these things together so we can make informed decisions about Social Security. When should we start it? How do we do this? Informed decisions around the pension. What option should I take on my pension? Should I take it as a single life or a joint life? What do I do with my existing life insurance policy? Have I set my plan up so that when the first of a couple passes away that we have adequate protection there? And then which of our investment accounts should we use first, and how do we do that in the most efficient way possible? There are general rule of thumbs around those topics, but my problem with general rules of thumb is that is not specific to you and your individual financial situation. They're great. General rule of thumbs are great to give you a baseline of where to start. But we need to build a plan that's customized to you so that you can have the retirement of your dreams.
And that's exactly what we're doing. Folks, we're going to take a very short break right now, but you can call the phone number here if you like what Kevin was saying right there, that we're going to put together a plan that is specific for you, your goals, your family, your choices and lifestyle. Then all you have to do is pick up the phone, call the phone number right here so we can get you started on your own complimentary retirement checkpoint review. 866-630-1675. More Retire Well when we get back right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retire Well with Kevin Bucher. He is one of the co-founders of Citizen Advisory Group. I'm your host, Spike Spangle. We're talking today about the Retirement Checkpoint Review, why it's important for you, our viewers out there, and all of the components of it. Let's talk a little bit about risk management. What is surprising to me is when I discussed this with you was that risk management is less about investments. It's about a whole nother topic area for you.
Yeah, it's really about your comprehensive insurance package that would be health insurance, long-term care insurance, life insurance, and your home and auto insurance. So we are a comprehensive financial planning firm, and we offer all of those services as part of our package. But yeah, risk management is about making sure you have the right insurance protection. And when we're talking about the retirement process or retiring itself, there's a couple things that I know you are going to miss about working. And sometimes, for some folks, that's the camaraderie of your friends and coworkers. Sometimes that's the case, not always. But I also know that you're probably going to miss the paycheck. So we've talked a little bit already about the paycheck replacement. But a lot of folks who are leaving the workforce are also losing their health insurance coverage. So that's another benefit that we're now going to have to replace somewhere. So that's a very important feature that we have to have a plan for.
How do you feel about the system of Medicare itself? I mean, it's complicated. There's a lot of different choices, and we've got to see what we can afford. Is it enough coverage?
Yeah, so Medicare is pretty complex. So as any government entitlement program, whether it's Social Security or taxes or Medicare, it's maybe an overly complex. And if you're feeling like you don't quite understand Medicare as much as you would like to, and you have questions, well, we can help with that. So Medicare is a cornerstone piece of what we do, understanding the Medicare program and what options you have. So yeah, when you're leaving the workforce, you're either going to already be Medicare eligible or not be Medicare eligible. But as we get older, we don't tend to get healthier. So having the appropriate health insurance coverage is very important.
Right.
And when you get to the Medicare stage, it's a puzzle. And many clients that we work with struggle with putting that puzzle together. And again, we're able to bring a common sense approach to put those pieces of the puzzle together so that you can really go into the health insurance plan that is going to best suit what your needs are.
I think one thing I want to be really clear on as well, because we talk about this all of the time, so many people confuse the fact that Medicare will not necessarily, it's not going to cover long-term care needs. There's a small version of it, what is it, 90 days or something like that it'll cover, yes. but not years.
But even at that, Spike, it only covers when certain conditions are met. So Medicare will cover medical recovery, but if you have a condition that is more debilitating than that and your health is not deteriorating or you're not recovering from a condition, well, that's where Medicare is going to cut you off. The benefits are going to be cut off at that point. So yeah, a long-term illness that you need ongoing assistance is a big risk for retirees. It's often ignored. It's one of the ignored risks of financial planning, that insurance is not necessarily the right solution in every situation, but we at least need to address that risk, talk through how that will affect your financial plan so that you are informed, and we have a plan in place for if that event actually did occur.
Let's be honest, Kevin, as a financial advisor, it's probably not one of your favorite conversations to have, but how soon do you start having the long-term care conversation with folks?
The answer is one word, and it's now. Right. So again, as part of this retirement checkpoint review that we go through with our clients, these are just evaluation points. and they require constant reevaluation. So as we go through the retirement checkpoint process, we will absolutely be able to evaluate where you are in each one of these checkpoints and highlight then what are your priority items. That may very well be the long-term care side, but it's more likely for those getting into the retirement that it's going to be centered around that retirement income piece, tax strategies, and the investment strategy. But the time to have the conversation around all of these topics is now.
Right. I know an unfortunate story of a friend of mine who's 40 years old. Something just happened to him. He's got 3 young kids, a wife, of course, a practice of his own, but he's not going to be able to work for quite some time. And I think we overlook the fact that long-term care isn't just for when we're in our 80s and 90s. Long-term care can be a type of insurance that we could have for any point in our lives, from a car accident, from a personal accident, something that can cover your family. Again, I know it's not the most fun conversation, but it's an important one.
Yes, and really that sums up the purpose of insurance is there's risks that are out there that could really impact the financial security of yourself and your family. So being in the right insurance package, and for me, kind of covering all of those areas again, it's health insurance, it's long-term care insurance, it's life insurance, it's home and auto insurance. The goal in that is understanding what insurance do you need at this point in your life, and then trying to make sure you get that at the most affordable price possible. So as we go through the different stages of life, there's going to be some insurance that maybe you don't need anymore. Maybe your income for a surviving spouse has already been taken care of through other needs or other means, and you don't need to have the life insurance for the income protection for your spouse. So your life insurance certainly change and evolve as you get older. And saving money in these areas is ultra important, but we also have to make sure we have the right protection.
Thank you so much for going through all of these of the checkpoint review, but let me see if I got my mind around them all. So we started with investments, we talked about risk and dollar amount risk, not just a risk number. We brushed briefly on taxes. We talked about all kinds of health choices, and then for you, risk management is really a lot of insurance choices, everything from your own health to ensuring the comfort and safety of your family even when you're no longer around. One last one we didn't get to, but we've got to ramp up the show, is that you also do talk about estate planning as well, correct?
Yes. Again, 5 comprehensive areas of financial planning. And I know for a lot of people, the thought of meeting with a financial advisor is maybe an uncomfortable thought, or in some cases, maybe it's intimidating. But we've met with a lot of folks over the year that had those same concerns and fears. But what they found is they walk out of this process feeling much more stable and secure and so much better about their retirement finances.
Kevin Bucher, financial advisor of Retire Well. Thank you so much for everything today. Folks, call the phone number right here so you can get started on your own checkpoint review. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again next week.